go right now. I'm gonna come back, but now I'm gonna jump. I'm gonna jump down.
and a happy Halloween the 10th. Ryan, are you with us?
I am here.
All right, I am Dale.
Halloween 10th.
Happy Halloween the 10th. I am Dale, as you know, and with me as always, our dearly beloved Ryan. That doesn't sound scary when I say dearly beloved. Last week when we lost you for a minute, I called you dearly departed, and that sounded kind of scary. All right, so tonight's show, we are beginning the week of Friday the 13th. How exciting. We actually had one fall on Halloween season for a change. That's always nice, isn't it?
That's right.
Yeah. So yeah, that's pretty cool. So that's kind of what we're going to be doing this week. We're going to kind of be talking Friday the 13th stuff. Tonight, obviously, you can tell by the title, Jason lives. Still, how does he live, Ryan? He lives lots of ways in pop culture, doesn't he?
I'm sorry that all of that broke up for me.
All right. Well, I said Jason lives still, and he lives in pop culture, doesn't he?
Absolutely.
Lots of ways. That's what's really cool about it is horror's kind of become acceptable at this point. So, there's no like stigmatization to it. I remember when I was a kid, like you and three other people liked horror movies and you watched them together and everybody else was like, dude, it's weird. He's really into that. It's kind of the same with video games. Video games were less exclusive, but metal used to be that way. Now all these things are kind of wide open and everybody's like totally acceptable. So it's kind of awesome. We'd be doing the show probably either way, even if it wasn't, but it is kind of nice to know that there are people out there who love it, and it's a household thing now. So every Halloween, we're all watching horror movies, even the normal people, Ryan.
I think that we are the normal people.
Do you? I like that.
Yeah.
I've never thought that, but I like it. I want to be the normal people. What is this friend. Laptop is like right in the middle of our show. It's like, hey, you want to update now? Like, yeah, this is a great time. We got a call connected and we're on air. Let's do this now. Windows 10, folks. It's probably scarier than any movie you'll watch, but I like it. All right, so yeah, on the top half of the show, we'll probably talk maybe a top 5 list in the history of Friday the 13th, and then on second half, Jason and pop culture, something like that.
That sounds good to me.
Yeah, sounds fun, right? Outside of films, as they say, video games and such.
Yeah, because like you were saying, Jason lives, but on the outside of the films.
He does. All over the place.
To kind of, I guess, transition us to news, I was trying to do some research on the new film, and correct me if I'm wrong, but is the film off now?
I guess I couldn't say definitively either way, but I think part 2 is off.
So part 2 of
the new ones.
The new one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
So that's disappointing.
Yeah, it fell through, I'm pretty sure. If I'm wrong, folks, correct me, because that'd be great, but I'm pretty sure on an earlier show we reported that it had fallen through, that there was a pretty good script, though.
That's what I had heard.
Yeah.
So, do you think this is the end for Jason, film-wise?
God, no, man. Come on. No way. You know what? You know what does surprise me, though? They put out a Blu-ray box set, the Friday 13th collection. I guess it's been a year and a half or so now. And I didn't get to it at the time. And then I wanted to later, and they just stopped printing copies. Like, when did this happen that companies just don't care about money anymore, that they just stop? It's the Nintendo method, isn't it?
I think that
Nintendo, or Disney put things in the vault.
Apple, Disney, yeah. There's this trend of creating false scarcity,
yeah.
I think. And
it's funny, though. Disney pulls them out of the vault twice a year, even though they're never coming out of the vault again.
Yeah.
But they do. They always do, and they always will, because money.
Seems like they were more serious about that in the VHS days.
I agree, yeah. It did seem that way, didn't it?
Yeah. But now, like you said, they'll pop out with this is the diamond edition.
Mm-hmm.
Or this is the platinum one, so this is different. And then it's going back in the vault too.
Dude, we got such a good deal on a bunch of those Disney, like, out of the vault diamond editions. We went to a store that you and I both hate. It's a local store to me, and they sell other things primarily, but they do sell movies. Well, they had a thing up that said $8 on all Blu-rays. We went in there and they had like 6 of those Disney Blu-rays, which are like what, $25-$30 a piece new.
Yeah, that's a good deal for the.
Yeah, we got them all for less than like it was like $53 tax and all or something like that. And you know, that's like 2 of those brand new. We got like 6. It was great. And
Right on.
they when we
That's a
took them
good
up to the
price.
counter, they were like, "Wow, this really we should have not done that." That's it just felt so good. I don't normally you know,
Yeah,
Schadenfreude, bro, you know, not normally, but
You know what? That's karma for the prices for everything else.
they suck. They tried to rip Ryan off Royal one weekend. We were so excited. You know, he came up for the weekend and we had some amazing dollar store cookies and we went to the flea market. And then we went over there thinking this is going to be cool. And Ryan had some really cool stuff to trade. And they were terrible, absolutely atrocious. And they claim we'll always be better than GameStop. It's like, at least GameStop's just honestly like, well, we kind of suck. And you know that. Don't claim to be better and then still suck. That's not okay.
Yeah. I do
But
kind of feel
yeah.
that about GameStop now. They are just kind of like, but you know what you're getting. So welcome to GameStop.
Yeah, they really are. They're not even really apologetic about this is what we do. If you're here,
Yep.
you know that. Let's do this thing. So, all right. Well,
Bend over.
yeah, this is a rad show though for later. So we'll come back to it. Not to necessarily attack GameStop, but just talk about policies and trade value and what people think it's worth, what it's versus what it actually is. That's become
Yeah.
kind of a thing in the past few years, huh?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. All right. So do you have any news for us? You transitioned us there.
Well, I was trying to figure out what's going on with the Friday the 13th series, but I'm
Nothing right now, I guess, huh?
disappointed. Yeah, it's kind of that film just completely dropped off.
Well, that's lame. I hate to hear
So-
that, but maybe they can revive the script that's supposedly good and work on it at a later date with more time and more finances. I don't know. Maybe it can be better for it.
Because it was supposed to be Jason Dies, wasn't
Mm-hmm.
that or what was the actual tagline?
I can't remember.
Death-
I hate
Death
that I
of
can't remember, but I really just don't.
I think it was called Friday the 13th, The Death of Jason.
Well, that sounds, you
Again.
know, right. Again, Jason, you got all those, the final chapter
least
and
it,
all those. Yeah.
At least it makes your sequel easy to name, because then you have to go with Return of Jason or
It's true.
Jason the Return.
They just need to start now taking the names from the Halloween series. The Return of Jason Voorhees and Jason Returns and things like that.
Yeah.
H2O, Jason Returns. Hey, it could be H2O because he's a water killer. That'd be perfect for Jason. He should rip that right
was
out of
actually,
the Halloween franchise.
I was actually thinking about that earlier. Is he like if you had to classify him, is he a water zombie?
Well, I
like-
suppose he is.
Like if he was in some kind of like horror movie card battle game, would he get like some kind of like stat boost if you teamed him up with like the creature from the Black Lagoon?
Surely. They could hang out underwater.
There you go.
Yeah, that's good thinking. I'd never considered such a thing. That's why we work, Ryan. That's why we work. Different perspectives. Well, I don't really have any awesome news, but I do have a list of some Netflix recommended horror films for the month that are on there now or are going to be.
That's what I need, because I'm cycling through my Ghostbusters.
Mhm. We started
watched
that today again.
I'm watching the Gremlins films.
Awesome.
Get
to Addams
Uh-huh.
Family, man. Get to it.
Yeah,
The Craft
Yeah,
is on
no, that's
there.
been
That's a
too long.
favorite of mine. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt.
no, go ahead.
The Craft. Have you seen it?
Yeah, I have.
Oh, I love that movie for whatever reason. I've seen it like literally probably 25 times and I could watch it every day. It's just one of those that it's kind of like the witch version of Mean Girls. It's fun.
Yeah, that's a good description of it. Didn't they do a show of that too?
The Craft? I don't think so. If they did, I need to see it because that's awesome.
I think I'm thinking of something else.
Maybe. All right. So here's the list. Arriving the 13th of this month, something we spoke of last week, Cabin Fever. So that's a must, in my opinion. Now, again, it got a lot of hate. I don't get it, though. I don't know. It was fairly original, and it's gross. It's kind of all the things I want out of a horror movie. I didn't expect it to be, Scarface as far as dialogue and direction.
Well, I think the Cabin in the Woods, I think it fell victim to trailer reviewers.
It may
in
be.
that, you got people that completely judge and write off a film based on its trailer.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm not going to say, you have to go see a movie to form, an opinion on it, which,
Sure.
I think to come up with your bottom line, you do have to go see a movie.
I agree with that.
Not to form your opinion. If a trailer looks crappy, certainly,
Mhm.
crap on it. Share your opinion. That's kind of what they're looking for when they release a trailer. They're trying to get the viewer excited, and they're also especially these days with social media and everything, they're trying to gauge feedback.
Right.
Did we get it, or are we completely off base, or
Yeah. Sure.
But I think the other side of that these days is that people will just view a trailer and then they completely write off their bottom line, like, this is a piece of crap. Now,
Yep.
if you had to judge Cabin in the Woods, by
This is actually Cabin Fever, by the way.
Cabin Fever. Oh, well,
It's all the same. Like everything you've said is completely equal. That's why I didn't correct you sooner. It doesn't matter.
but
It's still true. Everything you've said.
sorry. I was gonna say a lot of people wrote off Cabin in the Woods because they thought, oh, this is just gonna be like a teen slasher
Mm-hmm.
thing, because you don't want to have the big, because that movie has like a big crazy reveal to it.
Right.
It's not, that would suck. That would really suck if they showed that in the trailer.
Yeah, like you can't. I really loved the twist in that, for the record. A lot of people thought it was lame, but I thought it was really cool. It was refreshingly different.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm not mistaken, we watched that together out of a Redbox rental one night.
Yeah, we did.
I thought so. Yeah, it was cool. All right, let me see. Go ahead. I'm just looking for my list. I've got a lot of things to shuffle through. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. I was just saying I agree with you.
We spoke about
Just had a fan.
Cult of Chucky.
Yeah.
Now, you shouldn't watch it on Netflix, though, because you'll miss a whole minute of the movie. The plot twists. You'll miss everything. No, I'm joking.
Yeah.
Cult of Chucky on Netflix is fine. You should watch it. What's that?
That's what you were saying last week. The Netflix version is missing a crucial 60 seconds.
It is a crucial minute
Purpose.
that completely changes the story. It's the Netflix cut, right?
Right.
All right, so there's that. There's Hellraiser for all you off the wall horror fans. I don't guess I mean off the wall. He's just different. He's not your slasher. He's more psychological in a lot of ways than Jason and Michael, of course. He's more along the lines of like the Tall Man or something like that, I think. I like it personally. It's just very different than the rest.
Yeah.
There's one called Hush, which I've not seen. It Follows, which I have seen and is really good. There was a back and forth that we read on an early show about his back and forth with Quentin Tarantino, and it was hilarious. I won't go back into it here, but I believe that was on the first episode of I'll Podcast on Your Grave. So go back and listen to the news section of that. It Follows. There's a hilarious back and forth between the director / writer / creator and Quentin Tarantino. There's another called Raw, which I know nothing about. Have you seen that one?
I've watched WWF Raw.
Yeah, me too. That's it. Saw 1 through 7 is now available on there.
I can't believe there are 7 of those.
It just kept happening year after year.
Like, at what point does it ask you to go beyond your belief? Like, when can you no longer suspend your belief?
I think 3 is about where that ends.
It's like, how did this dude plan out all these scenarios and traps for like 15 years?
Yeah, I feel 3 was about where the story was like, all right, that's about all that you could realistically take from it. And maybe even that's a stretch. Stephen King's Children of the Corn. Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say they should do one where you don't necessarily have to make it a comedy, but they should do one where, it's like years down the line and none of his plan works out. He's got all these traps, but like everything is going wrong.
Who knows you kids? Make it like a Scooby-Doo episode or something.
Yeah.
Where they foil his plans. They pull off his mask.
That's it.
And it's really Billy Bob Thornton behind every bit of it. That's an angry man. I can see it. So Stephen King's Children of the Corn, The Babadook, The Exorcism of Molly Hartley, The Invitation, which I watched recently on, I bought the Blu-ray and it's good. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre, The Beginning, mixed feelings for most, and Train to Busan.
Is that the one with Jessica Biel?
No. The Jessica Biel one is the remake. The Beginning is the one that came after it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And then, of course, there's the Leatherface movie that's coming out this month to theaters.
Ooh.
Yeah. Train to Busan is the last one. We watched it. I was extremely let down with it, but that's just me. I don't know what maybe I went in thinking too much in a certain direction. I'm not sure what happened, but I didn't really care for it. I know that a lot of people are loving it though. So Train to Busan, it's an Asian, but I believe, that it's in English. I can't remember. I could be wrong on that. I can't remember if it's subtitled in, Korean or whatever language it was in. That's the way I watched it, but Netflix would probably just have it overdubbed if it weren't, filmed in English anyway. So
I think they usually do that.
Yeah. Clown is on there. This isn't on the list. That I loved Clown. Clown is a great new horror movie. And it comes from Eli Roth, who also did Cabin Fever. So that's cool. And a movie called Housebound about, this girl gets put on house arrest, and over time she starts realizing that someone is living within the depths of the house. Why?
So it's called Housebound.
Housebound. And
wouldn't you be, if you're under house arrest, wouldn't you be like house already there? House stuck, I guess.
Well, I don't know. You're bound to the house. I guess it could work. You're bound to stay home.
Okay.
But yeah, it's really cool, and the lead girl's really pretty. That doesn't hurt anything. It never hurts anything. So yeah. So I mean, there's others. Again, I mentioned The Craft, which wasn't on the list, but you should check it out. Addams Family. Ryan mentioned some other things. There's lots of good things on there for the season. And the 27th, Stranger Things season 2 comes back. So
yes,
yeah.
What's going on with the Upside Down and Atari?
That's a fine question, sir. We'll find out in a couple of weeks. 2.5, I guess, today. Walking Dead comes back, and not this coming Sunday, but the next, and so that's cool. Happy Death Day comes to theaters this Friday, I think. So there's lots of fun horror stuff to do this month, and of course we'll talk more about it as the month rolls along. For now, I guess it's a natural time to take a break and move on to the thick of it. Ryan, are you ready for it?
Let's do it.
Let's do this. So
let's take a break and then do it.
Yeah, let's take a break and then do it. So we'll be right back with Friday the 13th month, the kickoff.
My Halloween pumpkin is finished. Now to light it. But candles have ruined my other creations.
Try the pumpkin light. It's around my neck, your mad Dr. Ship.
The pumpkin light is perfect to light my Halloween pumpkin. I'll place it inside. You can make your Halloween pumpkin safe and scary with the pumpkin light. Oh!
Available at Genovese, Woolworth, Waldbaum's, and Quick Check.
Jason is back. 3 times before.
Sorry to change your mind?
You have felt the terror, known the madness, lived the horror. But this is the one you've been screaming for. Because Friday, April 13th, will be Jason's unlucky day. Friday the 13th, the final chapter.
Now playing at a theater near you. Consult your local listings.
with all that spooky music, we have once again returned. Ryan,
Now let's do it.
now let's do it. Yeah, this is a better time, isn't it? Let's kick off the show with something cool. Go ahead, sir. I've got something cool to say after you say what you say. So go ahead and say what you want to say.
Well, that Friday the 13th commercial that said to check your local listings.
Mm-hmm.
You may want to actually do that for this Friday.
That's very true.
Our local theater, at least in Abingdon, they usually when a Friday the 13th rolls around, they do stick a few of the old movies in there. They even did part 3 one year and had
3D.
Yeah, they had it set up for 3D and everything.
Right on. I like that.
Might be worth looking into, so that commercial is still relevant.
It is. Isn't that funny? Years and years and years later, it is still quite relevant. All right. So there's things about this day, people consider it bad luck, and not because of the movie so much. I think it was a thing before that, wasn't it?
Yeah. And that might've been a good thing to look into. Like, where did that start?
I did look into it. Yes.
Why is that such an unlucky day?
Well, though there's no written evidence that states it's an unlucky day, before the 19th century, according to Catholic belief, there were 13 guests on the table during the Last Supper before Jesus was crucified. Also, he was crucified on Friday the 13th. Another very popular myth tracing the origin of this day is particular that Friday 13th fell in the month of October in 1307 when hundreds of Knights Templar were arrested and burnt across France. Later, writers such as Dan Brown only made the fear more real by referring to that day in their books. So that's a lot of pretty potent stuff. Does it mean there's something to it? I don't know. Maybe they knew one day that there would be a killer by the name of Jason. I don't know. There's also a medical term for this day, and I'm going to struggle to pronounce it. I'm going to try. It's the fear of Friday 13th is called Frigga triskaidekaphobia or Paraskevidi-katriophobia. Frigg comes from the Norse goddess of wisdom after whom Friday is named. Triskaideka, meaning 13, and phobia meaning fear.
Is that Latin?
I don't know.
Need to brush up on your Latin.
I guess.
Me too.
It comes in threes. If you fear this day, let us tell you that it comes thrice a year at most. So there's another pretty bonkers reason to think. I don't know. These are all just, some of them at least are, they just they're happenstance. Let's see here. It's not always been bad luck, though. In Spanish-speaking countries and in Greece, Tuesday the 13th is considered an inauspicious day. Yeah. In the 1880s, the 13 Club was formed to debunk the superstition around it. Every 13th of the month, 13 members of the group would sit on the table for dinner, do everything that's considered ominous, such as breaking mirrors and throwing salt, and record how many die in time. Eventually became a 400-member group that included a number of U.S. presidents.
Wow.
Yeah.
And are they still around today, I wonder?
Well,
maybe they're...
Let's see. Well, considering that it was formed in the 1880s, I doubt it. But I would say it has nothing to do with Friday the 13th. That's the upside, I guess. Let's see here. It is said that if you travel on this day, it is acceptable to bargain with airlines for flight tickets.
Really?
Mm-hmm. I have no idea why, but yes. And last but not least, go ahead.
Like I'm feeling uncomfortable and unlucky about this flight. Can I get a discount?
Right. Yeah, this is a very unlucky day. So if I come out on the other end, I'd like to be, with a little more money in my wallet. I mean, I guess that's not unfair, is it?
Nah.
All right. So Ryan, what have you got prepared for tonight's show? I kind of threw that in. I didn't warn you about it, but I thought those are kind of cool points.
No, I'm glad you did. It's always, we always try to make things educational.
Yeah. Oh, and let me say, I didn't welcome everyone. Welcome everyone. And Hester Prine is in chat, so come hang out. And welcome Hester.
we want to hear your Friday the 13th memories.
Yeah. When did you see the
Especially
movie
your,
first? Does Jason scare you? Is he a pansy? Is he a princess? Are you not scared of him at all? Like, tell us. Let's hear it.
Well, that's a good starting point. Did he ever scare you?
God, yes. I had nightmares about him for years.
Really?
Yeah, I did. Which is why I think so fondly of him now, I think.
I think we all, especially most people that are into horror movies, and we've talked about this before on an earlier show, but I think we all share that memory of sneaking down to watch the film.
Oh yeah,
or borrowing a tape from somebody and trying to watch it on your own.
Mm-hmm.
Parents being like, "No, that's not for kids. You don't need to see that." But then you creep down the stairs and look at just the right time when he splatters somebody.
Yeah, it always happens that way.
Yeah. Oh, Jason, your timing was always impeccable.
It was, wasn't it? That's one of the greatest things about it, is that we've discussed how he and Michael Myers are different. Like he'll sneak around, but when he's there, he's very clear about it. There's no sneaking in the shadows and hiding. There is busting through your wall and, "Sup, guys, I'm here." I like that about him. He's very he's not rude. He doesn't sneak up on you too much.
He's got some Kool-Aid in his blood.
He does. He does.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I love that. There needs to be a gif of that with him bursting through the wall. That's not from the movie, that somebody animates. That would be cool. So go ahead. I mean, I honestly don't know how prepared you were. So I'm not trying to put you on the spot, but I'm just trying not to step on your toes with what you came up with either.
Oh no, you're fine. I think we kind of went through the introduction that I wanted during the intro, so that's always handy.
Yeah, we nailed that. Good. We did something right.
The whole reason we're doing this, if somehow you haven't put this together, because I'm sure there's somebody sitting out there like, "It's only Friday the 10th. What are they talking about?" This Friday is Friday the 13th.
It is, yes.
Which makes this, like the Jason Voorhees tribute week, because that's what I associate the Friday the 13th with.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like in this modern day, in this pop culture world, what else would you associate the Friday the 13th with?
Well, not the Last Supper and not the crucifixion, mostly. More so Jason, I would say, in this common day. I'm not saying which is more important necessarily. I'm just saying I don't think the association is there right now.
I think what we should start out with, and I think we kind of began, talking about our first time with Jason stories there. Is what is it that's so appealing about the character? Like, what do you personally like about Jason Voorhees?
Well, I didn't see them in order, obviously, because I wasn't born when the first one came out. And then I think I saw part 6 first. To me, it was just the havoc, the strength, the I don't know, the absolutely tear through the crowd kind of, "You're in my way, my hockey mask" is absolutely terrifying. And I like camps and lakes. A little bit of all of that put together, and he's just kind of a perfect formula for me in that way.
Yeah.
What about you?
I've always been a fan of camping and the outdoors and everything.
Right.
It was just kind of cool to associate a villain to that. But my really simple, childish, nutshell, shallow answer is I thought the design of the character was just really cool. It's just so simple, that hockey mask.
Mm-hmm.
And the hockey mask has basically become such an icon that you can, if you need a character in something, if you're doing a parody or what have you, if you need a character to be conveyed as a killer, then just throw a hockey mask on them.
That's true.
It's kind of been Jason's impact on pop, I think.
I agree.
And,
absolutely. You see it a lot.
He scared me at first, but then I found that I was kind of cheering for him too.
Yeah, that happens.
Like you, I kind of I saw them out of order. trying to think of. I know that Jason Takes Manhattan was the second one that I ever saw.
Okay.
And part 3 was the third one I ever saw. I can't remember what the first one was.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, what point was I trying to make there?
I don't know, but I like where it's going anyway.
So eventually, I thought he was scary. Watching those films, but then I decided to go back and I'm going to watch them in order now, and that's when you learn of his origin story about how the counselors were messing around and they let this poor kid drown, and that kind of angered me. And from then on, I was I may be wrong, I certainly don't think everybody's deaths were justified in this, but
yeah.
At the time as a kid, I was like, yeah, these teenagers deserved it. These darn fornicating teenagers in the woods.
That definitely becomes more of a recurring theme in the series where it's like, oh, those teenagers suck. It's their fault or it wouldn't be happening. It's almost like he becomes a little sympathetic, but not to the point where you'd want to hang out with him. Or that it even requires all that he's done by this point.
Right.
But, like there's definitely some sympathy to it. And I think if you came up watching the first one and then the second one, the third one, and really watch how he formed, you'd probably have even more sympathy for him, really.
Yeah, I would think so.
Seeing them out of order as we did, it's a little bit harder to, I think, but trying to understand like how our developing brains could have seen them in order as children, then I think we would have been more sympathetic for sure.
Do you think if you had seen the first one as a kid, and as everybody knows, Jason's mom is the villain in that. Sorry if that's a spoiler, but you've had
whoa spoilers, guy. No, I'm joking.
What anniversary we're coming up on?
Exactly.
You've had time.
We're coming up on 40 years. I think everybody can know by now.
So, if you had seen that one first and then they announced a part 2, would you have been excited about it, or do you think it would have been like, well, why would I want to watch this mom like chop these kids? Like, do you think that would?
I question where I think it could have even gone, considering watching the first. I mean, like, what's left? What can they even do? And then I guess they dropped that trailer, and you're like, oh, okay. I would have probably been excited after a trailer, but I would have been so puzzled just hearing about a part 2 happening, because the first one and then the second one and the third one, they're all so dramatic and change. In the third one, he gets his mask, and second one, he's got the bag, and the first one, it's his mom. There's so much change. The fourth one finally kind of stabilizes everything, and then it's supposed to be the last one. Obviously, it wasn't. The fifth one kind of throws it off balance again. Then the sixth one picks back up, and it's kind of stayed par for the course, at least up through Jason Goes to Hell, Final Friday. Say what you will. It definitely went a little off course there, but, I mean, I guess it kind of kept the same premise. So, I don't know.
You know what the best part of that movie was, right?
What's that?
Freddy's glove.
At the very end, yeah.
And grabbing the mask.
That was so long ago when that movie came out, and everybody was like, oh my God, is it going to happen? And then, like 15 years passes, and you're like, okay. Or, well, how many ever years? A lot of years pass, and you just give up on it, and then it finally does, and it's not that bad. It was pretty okay.
I do remember watching Jason Goes to Hell, and I'm like, oh, it's okay. Like, it didn't wow me or anything.
Yeah.
I guess it gave me what I was expecting. So I'm like, yeah, this is okay. And then they showed that scene where Freddy grabs his mask and you hear his laugh. And I jumped up off my couch like, oh my God, is it happening? Are they going to do that next?
You hope.
And they didn't.
And then you become an adult. And it still hadn't happened, but finally it did. It's just a shame it couldn't happen like 5-10 years sooner.
Yeah.
Because that would have been cool.
But at least we had Robert Englund still as Freddy for it. That wouldn't have been right. It wouldn't have been the same.
A lot of people were upset that they didn't get Kane Hodder as Jason, and I was one of those. I mean, he was fine, Ken Kersinger, but
Yeah.
You have Kane Hodder. He was Jason in 7 and 8, 9 and 10. Why not have him back?
I don't think anybody but like the truly hardcore fans would know that.
Right.
But that would have been a super nice treat for them.
I think so.
Just to know that it was him, you know. Definitely a missed opportunity.
I really liked a lot of the different Jasons, but I mean, he's the one who's done it most, and he's kind of created his own version of it with the heavy breathing and the looks and the movements. He's really done a great job with it. They missed an opportunity there by not using him.
Definitely.
It's like having Robert Englund around and not using him as Freddy. It's a wasted time on their lives and your movies.
What
Unfortunately,
is up with
I don't know, man. I'll never understand it.
As long as we have Robert Englund around, there's no excuse for him to not be Freddy.
Absolutely.
Like, I'll just never understand that.
So
eventually, you know, he'll be too old, and you know that's fine to kind of pass the torch on, but
right.
Not when he's like. I mean, he seems to be in really good health for his age.
He really does. He's one of those. It's just like, wow, that dude is still around and he's still awesome. Like, let him do stuff with it. Like, he's in other movies all the time. He's in stuff constantly, but the last thing I think I saw him in was Fear Clinic. And that was like, it came out like 2 years ago. He's fine. Let him be in the freaking movies.
That's what's up.
That's what's up. So if you were to put together a top 5 list, I hate to be this way. It's cliche, but why not? What would be your top 5 and why?
Let's see. Do you want, excuse me. Do you want to just list our top 5 all at once, or do we want to like both share our 5th and both share our 4th? Do you want to do it that way, or
however you see fit?
So my 5th would be, and I already stated the reason, but Jason Goes to Hell, because that moment at the end was really huge for me.
I get it. It was awesome. I love it.
And I think since that may be the moment of my fandom that got me into the whole crossover thing. Like it just planted the seed. Like, wow, like the arguments we have, you know, at school could be a thing, you know.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
When we're saying, you know, I don't know, like X-Men versus Ninja Turtles. We argued all kinds of stupid crap. But now somebody like actually did like a wink to it, you know. It wasn't the for real thing yet, but that kind of let me in like, hey, it could happen.
Right. Yeah, because it does. It's like, hey, this could be something. You didn't know at the time that it wouldn't be for a really long time, but I mean, at least it was a glimmer of hope. And if not for that, would we have ever gotten it?
Right.
If not for that, we may never have. So at least appreciate the movie for that.
So now crossovers are like, you know, they happen left and right, and I'm a sucker for them. I love when two properties come together, and rarely does it ever pan out like, oh, you get to decide a victor or anything. You know, they usually team up and go after a greater foe, I guess. But
right,
man, I get pumped for stuff like that.
They don't do it enough in the mainstream horror franchises, and it's probably mostly financial and business and lawyers.
Mm-hmm.
The same reason that you know, a lot of series and movies like this, the Jason sequel, I believe that's the reason it fell through, and that's the reason a lot of things do. Lawyers, man.
Yeah.
They're sucking the fun out of living.
I want to see Michael Myers go up against somebody.
Yeah, I do too.
Like Jason, Leatherface. Like, man, that would be crazy if like they're on a family trip, you know, and they stumble upon Leatherface. You know, all the while, you know, Michael is still lurking somewhere in their past, you know, stalking them still.
I think Leatherface and Jason would make good foes. They're both kind of crazy and blade wielding.
Yeah.
So I can see them like really having an interesting thing, because, you know, you'll have like Leatherface basically in the house, the Sawyer house, and then Jason can kind of, you know, for some reason need to go there and deal with them. It's kind of cool.
So if you throw Michael in on that, what if you know, what if Leatherface or whoever goes after Michael's target? Do you think Michael would defend them against Leatherface?
I don't think so, but I don't know. His is very personal, I think. So maybe.
Yeah.
I'm certainly not one to say no. That's what I was thinking about Leatherface's family. If Jason, maybe someone of the Sawyer family or something, was trying to, I don't know, they interrupted something important to Jason, and he's like, well, I'm going to follow them to the house and kill them. And Leatherface is like, nope, this is my family. I live here. You will not.
Yeah, so he starts taking them down one by one, but then, you know, you get to the house, and then Leatherface is ready to defend, and that, you know, you got to end up with a big climactic battle.
Indeed.
But we'll get more to that later in my list.
Yeah, okay. Sounds good.
So what's your fifth on your list?
It's really hard to say. I had to actually bring up a list here because I really like most of them a lot.
Yeah, it's hard to put them in order. I think I'm 60, but I'm not.
I don't know because
I'm not going to say I don't feel great about it, but they can definitely shift around.
Yeah, that's it. That's me.
I'm pleased with my list so far.
I guess I'm going to say The New Blood, Part 7. I really, really like it. And I don't know if I'm cutting out something I'd rather be there, but it's you know, it's about Tina and telekinesis, but Jason really tears in that one. He really rocks it. It's a really good one as far as violent Jason and the cabin setting and by the lake and things. It really works for me on that level. There's some stretches to it, but other than that, it really does work for me anyway. So I'm going to go with that one. Have you seen that one, The New Blood?
Yeah, no, that one has a cool beginning to it too, doesn't it? Where she's trying to do something else, right? And then it resurrects Jason with her power.
She gets mad at her dad and emotionally, and it stirs up Jason in the water.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which sucks for Daddy, but pretty cool movie, pretty cool part.
So Jason, like, who's making all this noise?
Yeah.
I'm trying to rest in peace.
Yeah, he's just down there hanging out with the creature from the Black Lagoon. And anyway, all right. So what's part 4, or what's number 4, should I say?
My number 4 is the first one.
Okay.
Starring Jason's mom. And it lands on 4 because it doesn't really have Jason in it per se, not in the way you typically think of his role.
It would be more like, if it were created now, it would be a prequel that gave you the lore more than the killer, more than him. Yeah.
And that's exactly why it makes my top 5, is because it lays the foundation for his character and whether or not you're going to be terrified or if you're going to cheer for him. Because a lot of people do, you know,
they do.
A lot of people feel like he's justified in what he does, you know?
Yep. I agree.
Don't do it in the woods.
It's
Is
good
that the
advice.
point? I think I missed the point.
No, I think you got it. I think that's probably the point. I don't know that there is another point of the series, really. I think that's pretty much it. So yeah. I don't think the original makes my top 5, if you want my honest opinion. And it's not because of quality. It's just because of the ones I like in whatever order. The ones I like more for whatever reason. I think my number 4, it's so tough. I'm going to say part 3. You know, part 3 is great. But I felt like it was that transition film. I think 4 is where Jason was awesome with his mask. 2 is where he was awesome with his sack. 3, he was finding himself. Really great movie, but sort of that crossover to the modern Jason we know.
Yeah.
So that's my part 4, or my number 4. I keep saying part 4 now.
The parts.
Parts.
So my number 3. I'm here. Watch me. I'm here like flip flopping. They're all good. It's like they're fighting for position on my list. But I'm gonna give that to Freddy versus Jason.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, but the story wasn't really there. I mean, it did what it needed to do. You know, it brought them together to fight for whatever reason. But,
Right.
And I'm like, you know, this is okay and everything, but the fight scene is all that I wanted from that movie. They could have just, you know, they could have opened it up in a wrestling ring.
They could have. It could have been a 10-minute short, and people would be like, "Oh, all right, that's cool."
Yeah, that's all I wanted. Like, let's settle the score. You know, we've been talking about Freddy, who would win in a fight between Freddy versus Jason, and it was just the throwdown. You know, there wasn't anything scary about it. It was just it was a brawl.
Sorry if y'all heard me typing there. My keyboard is mechanical and it's super loud. Usually I mute myself, but sometimes I'm like, well, I might respond soon, so I don't. Anyway, but no, I totally agree. It's definitely not top 5 for me. To be honest, it's barely top 10 for me, but I do like it.
Yeah.
I do.
No, I'll be the first to admit that it's not very good. But I just really
which of them really are, cinematically speaking, you know, to be fair.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, I wanted the fight scene bad.
And you got it. And it was pretty good. Let's see. My part 3. This is tough. I guess I'm going to say Jason Lives. It was the first I saw, part 6. And CJ Graham was an amazing Jason. And it's probably the most camp feeling one with all the kids and you got the metal music, and it's kind of a modern Jason. I really, really love it. Not a lot of great reasons. I just think he really tears in that one too. It's kind of the same reason I love 7. I just think 6 is a better one. So I guess 6 is my part 3.
Okay. Do you feel like the soundtrack of that movie helped you relate more to it?
Probably. I mean, you know, the Alice Cooper Man Behind the Mask is an amazing song, and the metal and stuff, I was a huge fan, so I'm sure it didn't hurt anything.
I was wondering, like, you know, you listen to that music, so could you, I guess, see yourself in the position of those campers, I guess?
The sad truth is yeah, if I really put myself there, yeah, I could. I don't know if that's good or bad. I guess it would make me kind of cool, but it would be kind of bad to end up there at the same time. So I don't know. But yeah,
just today,
that's probably the most me of them all. And that's true. We wouldn't have this awesome show happening right now with us. So, but yeah, we got 2 more, and man, I don't know what to do about it. I know which 2 they are, and probably everybody else out there does too. But I want to say I'll save it. I'll save it for the end. Go ahead. What's your number 2?
My number 2 is and it's kind of sad because this isn't really, some of it's the movie and then some of it's just nostalgia for what we were doing, you know, around the movie.
Sure.
But Jason Takes Manhattan is my number 2. Because I saw it for my birthday one year, and we had like a big like sleepover thing and rented all kinds of video games and had tons of pizza and everything, and that was like the movie pick. That was the first time I'd seen that.
That's an awesome memory. That definitely does make it, I think.
So I don't know really how well you would like if you compare quality wise to the other ones. I don't know where it really fits, but but if I sit down and I watch Jason Takes Manhattan, it takes me right back to that night.
Mm-hmm.
So the nostalgia is strong there for that.
Sure.
One.
And I mean, that's what these lists are. They're personal. It's certainly not saying these are the best and, you know, they're better than the rest or anything, but it's personal.
Yeah, I don't know if I would be the best at really truly analyzing cinema and really picking it apart and getting down to the quality or anything. You know,
who really is? Isn't everybody's credentials kind of opinions anyway, really, when it comes down to it?
I would have to, if we wanted to, rate them all by quality and cinematography and everything, acting quality, I'd have to have a good 2 or 3 weeks to really work on everything.
I can agree, yeah. For sure. Let's see here. All right. My number 2. This is so hard. I'm going to say my number 2 is part 2. I really like Baghead Jason and the first version. He was very scary and mean and mad. I just really like it. And I think it was genius how they went from the first one to the second one and then created this killer and this different vision than what you saw him in the first. It's awesome.
You know, if you don't know anything about the series, like if you were just going to sit down and watch them in order, having never seen them, he might be the scariest version of Jason.
I think so. It's potentially, yeah.
You know, I could see a dude an angry dude wearing a sack coming after you more than somebody in a hockey mask.
I agree.
Like a hockey
yeah.
mask on.
That's true, actually.
For me, that's when horror is more effective, when it's a situation that you could find yourself in, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So
I agree. Well, let's do this. Let's take a break, and then we'll come back for our last picks and the pop culture side of things.
Sounds good.
All right, so we shall return in just a moment.
Trick or treat! Darn, I knew I should have worn a costume. Yo, Bo Peep, what you got in your bag?
Introducing Roy Rogers' Big Chicken Deal. 2 plump and juicy pieces of fried chicken, hot, crisp fries, and a fresh baked biscuit. Roy Rogers' Big Chicken Deal, just $1.99.
Don't you even think about it.
Friday the 13th. It will scare you.
All right, so for whatever reason, it's skipping the Friday the 13th commercials now and moving right along. That is no fun for anybody. I don't know why it's doing that. I'm gonna try to get it to play, and we'll just play it right now if I can get it to. Let's see here, because it's a cool one. It's the 3D commercial, but it keeps skipping. I don't know why it's doing that. Let's see here. Let's try it again. Nope. Well, I have no idea why it's doing that. So, all right, Ryan is on hiatus for just a minute, so we're going to get back to the show. What to even say? It's in pop culture, as you know, and there's a lot going on still with Friday the 13th. I don't know if it's even considered scary anymore, as he has become so pop culture that it's almost, it's almost normal. So if you don't know, there's a new game out this year. I know Ryan wants to touch on that. I'm trying to be touchy here and not go into what I know he wants to talk about. I know the NES game is a big thing for he and I. We have always talked a lot about it, same as Nightmare on Elm Street. And then they came out with the new one, which neither of us have played. So I'll kind of leave that to him. Ryan, are you back? I think I heard you come back.
I am.
Okay. Mm-hmm. I don't know. The commercials went completely awry. Things were playing on top of each other, and I don't really know why. But yeah, I'm not sure what happened there. I've tried playing the trailer again because I wanted to hear it. I wanted everybody else to hear it. Let me try one more time. Nope. It is just 100% skipping those trailers now. It's playing them under music, and I don't know why. So let's just move on, shall we?
All right.
Let's just pretend that didn't happen. It really was technical difficulties. It wasn't even me. I've tried like 4 times now. So anyway, I was talking about the games and pop culture just to kind of move on a little bit, but I know we do have our number 1 picks. Do you want to do those now, or do you kind of want to put those off for the end of the show?
I don't know. Do you hate that when you're watching like a top whatever show?
I do.
It's like our number 1 coming up after 15 more minutes of messing around and some more commercial breaks.
I do hate that. So yeah, okay, well then let's just do it then. Your number 1, Friday the 13th. My number 1. Choo 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 choo. If I'd had a sound effect ready, that would have been cool, but I didn't, so. It's true.
My number one pick is coming up after the break.
Oh,
Just, my number one pick is Friday the 13th, Part 3.
ooh, okay.
Because that establishes the hockey mask look, the iconic that we know and love today.
It does indeed.
And I've managed to see that one in the theater too. Not when it was new, of course, but it came to the Abingdon Theater.
That's cool.
Local here, and I was able to catch that there, so that was a ton of fun. And that's been the only one actually that I've seen in theaters.
The only one I've seen in theaters is the remake, actually. So you're doing better than I am.
Well, I'm gonna check the schedule for them and see if they're doing anything cool for Halloween. They're really good about putting old movies back in for special events and
Sweet.
things.
That's awesome.
There might be one this Friday. But
I would love to see one in theaters. That would be so cool. One of my favorite ones, at least, I should say.
yeah.
My number one is Part 4, The Final Friday. Or not The Final Friday, The Final Chapter, I should say. I just absolutely love that one. That's where Jason, I think, came full circle. And if it had ended there, it would have been fine. I'm glad it didn't. Don't get me wrong, but just awesome.
I think that was kind of what they were planning, right?
Yeah, it was supposed to be The Final Friday, or the final chapter. It was, and so was The Final Friday. It was supposed to be the last one as well. Clearly, it just doesn't happen with this series, which is why I don't think that it'll happen now.
They make too much money.
They do. Jason's awesome. He sells. So,
and it's not really, like you said, you're not looking for this wow cinematic experience. They're just fun. It's like going to a haunted house on Halloween.
It is, yeah.
Sort of principle there.
Well, now that we've got that out of the way, let me try to fire this commercial. The previews, they're just TV spots, so they're short. I'll just have to play them a different way, but I want to. I want people to hear them. They're fun.
I love the countdown trailers.
Yeah, they're fun, aren't they?
Yeah.
All right, so let's go ahead and play two of these. The two that I would have tried to play before. No, you know what? We'll play one. Let's do Part 3D, and then we'll be right back after it. Sound good, Ryan?
Sounds good.
Friday the 13th, Part 3 in Super 3D. The all-new process that puts you in the picture. Whether you want to be there or not. It will scare you. Count on it. Friday the 13th, Part 3 in Super 3D. Rated R.
Now playing in Sacramento. Check newspapers for theaters.
Friday the 13th, Part 3 in Super 3D.
All right, so they wanted to re-emphasize Friday 13th, Part 3D in 3D.
In case you didn't know.
Now playing in San Francisco, or what was it? I don't know. Sacramento. So check your local listings. It may be, as Ryan mentioned earlier. It really might be.
It's worth checking out.
Yeah, you never know.
Can't believe I didn't look before we got on the show. You know what? While we're talking, I'm gonna pull it up now and see.
Do it.
What have we got going on Friday the 13th?
I like the sound of that. That's fun. Well, while you do that, let me go ahead and play another one then, because I'm really sorry. This show has never gone all that right. We've tried, but it just never has. Every time we try to do anything right on it, it's always kind of went awry, hasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So let's go ahead and just play another one of the trailers real quick while Ryan looks this up for us.
Jason is back. 3 times before.
Sorry to change your mind?
You have felt the terror, known the madness, lived the horror. But this is the one you've been screaming for. Because Friday, April 13th, will be Jason's unlucky day. Friday the 13th, the final chapter.
Now playing at a theater near you. Consult your local listings.
All right. So there you have it.
Well, there's no Friday the 13th. However, they are showing Goosebumps
Ooh, I saw that in theaters and it was really good, I thought.
It's a fun movie.
Uh-huh.
It's not as gory as the books, of course. It's a joke.
Of course. No, I love it, man. It was really good.
That's actually free. That's a free showing.
Ooh.
Yeah.
We like
so
free.
That's on this Saturday the 14th. So
that seems funny. I like that.
So yeah, I can't find anything. I don't guess anybody's doing anything local this year for it. So.
Well, phooey, that's like the biggest letdown ever. Like you could, well, maybe not the biggest ever, but there's so much to be done there. Yeah.
It's true. The closest to us in North Carolina, there are a couple theaters doing it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? It is still in theaters. I wonder if there's a concern, like we want people to see it instead of this old 80s flick.
Mm-hmm. I don't know why they do what they do. Like I'll want to see a movie and it'll only be in theaters for what seems like 3 weeks. And then one will stay forever. So you can never really guess whether a movie's still going to be there or not. So if it's still there and you want to see it, you should see it.
I really want to go see Blade Runner. Just going to throw that out there.
Yeah, it looks really cool. I'm with that. All right. So now pop culture. I brought up the games, Ryan. Let's have it.
What other games are there besides the NES one and the new one?
Well, that's all, but there's a lot to be said about the NES one at very least.
If you grew up in the 80s and you had a Nintendo, you played this game. Like you knew somebody that had it, or you at least rented it. I don't know anybody that I played games with that didn't play it.
Oh, definitely.
Even people that I've just met online, you know, they've played it. And I don't know, what was it about it that made you keep renting it? I mean, you could tell from an early age that, you know, this isn't the greatest game you're ever going to play, and the map doesn't work right. Everything's really cryptic. Like, you know, what the hell am I supposed to do? Where am I supposed to go? But I think it captures that spirit of being there as if you were one of the counselors, you know?
Right. Yeah.
Like, what would you do?
It's Jason. I think that's all it took.
Yeah. And I think playing as the counselors, you're supposed to lose to Jason.
It feels right, doesn't it?
I don't think it's like, yeah, you and your friends are dead, game over, but you know, isn't that the way it's supposed to go?
It is. I mean, there's supposed to be a survivor, but it just seems okay if Jason gets you all.
Yeah.
And he does most of the time in that game because you got to basically beat him twice.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, I was always okay with that. I kept renting it for some reason. I really liked it. I think it's got cool music too.
It does.
You know, it's only like 2 seconds long and it keeps looping, but it's just really fun. And to this day, it puts me in a Friday the 13th.
It's got mood. That, and then that, yeah, it has like 2 little small loops that just play over and over again.
Are you able to play that? Do you have that, or
I have the theme? Yes. Let's do it. So there's a little bit of that. It does the same thing over and over.
I know that it's hokey, and you know people make fun of it now. It's like, yeah, it's a bad LGN game, and but that theme was creepy back then.
It really was, yeah.
I know that's hard to imagine if you're younger now, but like when the NES was like, that was it. That was the hot new, you know, technology out. We didn't really imagine beyond that, you know, like how creepy it was creepy, you know?
Yeah. Creepy's creepy. And that was enough.
I remember the first time I rented it and hearing that theme, I was like, is this going to be like too much? Or what's going to happen in this game?
It was always scary when you did finally find him in the houses, and when he come running down the path at you, that was scary too.
Yeah. It's funny to see him like sprinting like that.
It's you're this counselor and you're throwing rocks. Do you ever remember that happening at Mud Zombies?
Yeah.
When does that happen in the series?
Part 4, right?
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it was part 4. Yeah, I don't know. I guess they just were like, we got to do something. You can't just be at camp and then fight Jason for the whole game. I get it, but you know.
What if it went crazy mode and it had his mom at the same time? Of course, I know you can go fight his mom to get the sweater.
Yeah, her head.
Yeah. Which was crazy. I happened upon that by accident. And I wasn't sure that was her or like what was going on. Like, why am I fighting Medusa? I don't understand.
That's exactly what it looks like. It feels like that too. It does.
And then you get a glowing magical sweater.
Basically, that's exactly what happens. Yes.
And you don't die as fast, but you're still gonna die.
Oh yeah, there's without question that's gonna happen.
But there's some handy dandy guides on YouTube now, like that actually explain the workings of the game. And I think when you hear the explanation, it actually all kind of plays out like a sort of weird board game. You know, once you learn the mechanics of how Jason works and like what you're actually supposed to do to win the game, it kind of reminds me of a strange board game.
Mm-hmm.
But
a lot of it comes down to how you do it. Yeah, it's structure and things.
But I think if the manual had explained that in any way that wasn't so cryptic, people might have been able to actually finish the game back then.
Yeah, it's true. It was hard. We did beat it as a kid, my friends and I, but it was never easy. I think we beat it maybe a couple of times, but it was really difficult.
I don't think I ever beat it legitimately. Now, I got a Game Genie for Christmas one year, and after I was done messing around with like moonwalking and stuff with Mega Man and like super moon jumping on Mario, I was like, you know what? It's time for Jason to die. Like, now it's time. And I went to the video store and I rented it again and put in the invincibility code, and I found Jason on the road and beat him with rocks, which I don't think is possible.
Yeah, I don't think it is.
So, I totally cheated there. So
that's
I owe
right.
Jason one more go at it to see if I can do it legitimately.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun still. We need to beat it and Nightmare on Elm Street both.
Yeah, we do. Nightmare on Elm Street is a fun game.
It really is. It has its flaws, and the jumping system is floaty, and you die a lot, but it's still fun.
You're supposed to play that with a group of friends. I think that's the way they meant for it to be played, and it's hilarious, and it's just a good time to play with buddies.
It is. It really is.
Especially if you've got the 4-player multi-tap,
which I do. We've just never used it, so we'll have to try it out.
Dude, we need to make 2 more friends. That's our problem.
We don't have any friends beyond each other. That's it. So, well, what else do you see happening with Jason besides the other video game, which we don't know an awful lot about, to be honest? So,
yeah, I've watched some gameplay footage of it, and it looks fun. I really want to play it. I've just not pulled the trigger on that.
Right, me either. Yeah.
And it's one of those things, by the time I decide to buy it, the community will have died down for it, and nobody's playing.
It'll literally be just us again, with no other friends to play with.
So I think what's cool is how Jason has sort of transcended himself and into pop culture. Another one of, I know it's one of your favorite video game series too, is Splatterhouse.
Oh yeah, God, I love that.
They're like playing the first one. It's like, I get to be Jason Voorhees. Holy crap.
Mm-hmm. They can say what they want, but that's freaking Jason.
Yeah. It's like, I get to be Jason and smack these zombie dudes against the wall. Wasn't that the coolest thing ever when you first did that?
Yeah, it was kind of like how in the Turtles game, you could throw people at the screen. You were smacking them against the wall in that.
Yeah.
Yeah, the nasty, the blood and the pus and the guts. It was great.
I think the worst thing about those games is like the bodies that are hanging from the ceiling.
Mm-hmm.
You hit them and they just kind of bust open like this pus-filled pinata.
It's so good. You just have to love it. So Jason's, he's everywhere though. I see cakes and stuff of him all the time. Like it comes up like during the year, like just on my Twitter feed. And of course I have a lot of horror people on there, but he's everywhere. I've seen him on Family Guy and Simpsons and everything.
That kind of makes me sad. I've never had a Jason cake. Like, what kind of cake did they make? I mean, like the interior. Would you do like red velvet?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Either chocolate or red velvet. You have to do one or the other.
Yeah. Or put some kind of green slime stuff on the inside of it.
Yum. Sounds
Seems
delicious.
like a rotting, like, river corpse.
That sounds amazing, doesn't it? Sounds
What
like a
about
good cake.
Like toys? Do you have any Friday the 13th toys?
Yeah, I just bought one recently. The final chapter, part 4 Nika toy, which is really awesome. And I have a lot of masks if you consider those toys.
I would consider that. I was going to get to like memorabilia after that. But I love Nika because you can tell who the people behind those toys, they really are passionate about.
Right. Yeah, you can. I love the accessories it comes with.
Yeah. So how many masks do you have?
Get on 4 that I can see right now. I'm looking at 4, and they're one of them's like a rubber one that we found randomly at Party City, and I was like, why not? It looks kind of cool. And then one of them is on the cheaper end, and then 2 of them are like movie quality.
So those are your like, this thing's over $50, you know, like this is the real deal.
Yeah, definitely.
Nice.
Yeah, I love them. They look incredible. It's for part 5 and part 8. Jason Takes Manhattan. And then I've got a part 4 in the mail, supposedly, that I'm supposed to get for Halloween.
Nice.
Yeah.
So have you decided on Jason for Halloween?
I have, yes. I've got the bust and the mask and ordered the coveralls, but they're huge, so I have to send them back and get a different size. But yeah, I've definitely decided.
Unless you want to fill them with mud.
Sure, why not? They would fit 2 of me almost. They are absolutely huge. I didn't really know what size coveralls to order, so.
You want me to stand on your shoulders and we'll be like this 12-foot tall Jason?
We could do that. They're the long version of them too, so they're as tall as I am. I think I may have to roll them up just a little bit.
Be like this 2-headed Jason monstrosity.
That would be awesome.
Like there's another Jason coming out of Jason's
Why
stomach.
doesn't that exist already? It should.
Don't give him any ideas.
That's true.
It could happen.
It really could.
So I think everybody, look, my son Connor, he's going to be Jason for Halloween this year. So he's a big fan, and now he's got his first mask. So I think everybody at some point needs to own some kind of mask, even if it's the dollar store, you know, like glow in the dark mask.
I had a bunch of those over time. Yeah.
It's like, yes, a Jason mask.
I remember when I was a kid and they first introduced those to stores. I think I saw my first one at Kmart when I was young, and I was like, oh my God, I have to have that. And it looked so ridiculously terrible, but you know, so
they like, they turn flat after a while.
They really do.
It's like, you have to, I don't know, if you're going to plan on wearing it, you have to like kind of shape it, put it on a basketball or something and leave it sitting for the weeks to come to get it to shape, you know, like a mask again. But I think, you know, where the lack of detail and everything is, the best feature of those is the glow in the dark feature. So you can be like this disembodied floating Jason head in the dark. Good Halloween fun there.
I got to take a quick break. So if you don't mind, Ryan, keep talking it up. I'll be right back. Okay, I'll be right back, guys.
So what do we talk about now? Get my notes back up here. Oh. We're talking about Jason in pop culture, and we kind of touched on him in video games and movies. And like I said earlier, I think the reason you see him everywhere is because he has such a simple design. And I think that's really a simple design kind of carries a character and makes them more memorable. I think the more complicated something looks, the harder it is for you to remember it. But who could forget the hockey mask? It's so simple. How could you forget that? And like I said earlier, if you need something in whatever media you're producing to be perceived as a killer or a psycho stalker creature thing, the hockey mask is all you need, and that conveys the point completely. So what we wanted to do was wrap up that discussion with naming our favorite non-film appearance of Jason. In other words, not necessarily like official merchandise or an official appearance in anything, but what exactly is your favorite appearance of the hockey mask itself, I guess I should say, rather than, official Jason. And I think if I had to name something, I'd have to go back to the Splatterhouse series. I think, like we said, wow, I'm actually getting to play as Jason. That was a pretty incredible thing back then. I know we've got newer video games where you can play as him. And I forgot to mention Mortal Kombat. He was in Mortal Kombat 9. That was a lot of fun. I'm kind of disappointed that they didn't have Jason and now correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure they didn't have both Jason and Freddy in the same game, so you couldn't act out that Freddy versus Jason fight amongst your friends. They do have Alien and Predator in there, so you can do that. That's pretty cool, but it's kind of a missed opportunity there. But yeah, Splatterhouse, for being the first opportunity to play as a hockey mask psycho killer person. I really like all of the Splatterhouse games. I'm not sure if I would put the first one over the third one, or vice versa. They're both very different games. The third one actually plays more like a beat 'em up, like Streets of Rage. I think if I had to pick, I would do the first one. So yeah, and I apologize, I can't see the chat room at the moment. I'm not sure if anybody's asking questions or not. Let me see if I can get that up without being too disruptive. I don't want it to start playing the show or anything. Let's see what I can do here. Let's get Spreaker back up. If I blast anybody's ears, I'm really sorry.
Oh, you're all right. Sorry about that, guys. The kid calls. It happens.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Adulting,
So
not adulting, but parenting.
Mm-hmm.
It's top priority.
It is. So let's take a break and get back and do our listener question. We're already running over time. We were only going to go to 11:30 anyway. So let's do that. Is that all right with you?
Sounds good to me.
I'm sorry to bail on you there. I couldn't help it. I had to.
Oh, it's all good.
All right. So let's do that and we'll be right back, guys. Is that cool?
Cool.
All right. Let's do this.
The mindless, murderous fury that was buried with Jason has been reborn. Friday the 13th, Part 5. A New Beginning. Rated R.
Starts Friday at the Lyons Avenue.
I don't know what is going on with everything. Ryan, I apologize. everything is going haywire over here. Everything's firing and playing, and it's always this show, isn't it?
This is our bad luck show. So
yeah, let's just get through this listener question that we've been sitting on for a while, and then we'll. I don't know. Literally none of this has ever happened on any of the other shows. Technically, I have no idea what's going on. So let's just get through this one. Let's get to the listener question.
Okay, so we've got two. This first one we've been kind of sitting on a while because we were waiting on the actual. We realized early on when we started the show, like, hey, there's a Friday the 13th in October. We should totally do it for this. So I think we've had this question for 2 or 3 months or so. And the question is, have you guys ever finished Friday the 13th on NES? And that comes from Morton. So we kind of answered that earlier.
We did, yeah.
I myself have never legitimately finished it. I had to make a wish with the magical game Genie to help me through that. But as Dale was saying, he made it through with some friends, and it was a grueling experience. So
yeah, it really was. It was hard, but it was fun.
Don't you love the image of Jason when you actually win?
I do.
He's just like slumped in the corner,
so downtrodden. Bless his heart. Yeah. I don't lose. What happened?
You guys were the bad guys.
It's true. We made Jason feel bad.
Yeah. It's a sad image.
It is.
So,
all right. Not to rush it along. I'm sorry. That we sort of answered that one already. We're trying to be better on time so that we don't keep you guys up all night. So
this last one is what were your Freddy versus Jason arguments like in school? You talked about this on the playground, and that comes from Jake.
Jason doesn't sleep, and
that's what I was gonna say.
That's it.
Like, I always Jason is insurmountable. He's just like this big giant rock. And Freddy's like a little dude. Like, what could he do to him? And they're like, well, Freddy's got Freddy magic. He could turn into a giant snake or whatever. And then somebody's like, they couldn't even fight in the first place because Jason never sleeps and Freddy attacks you in your dreams.
That's exactly it. That's the argument and the answer right there.
That is it. So, and that went on an endless circle.
Oh, yeah.
No matter how many times you went to that argument or if it was years and years later, it always came back full circle to that. So I think that answers that question there.
Yeah, Jake, I mean, we all did it, so how could you not? We still do it sometimes, even though we supposedly have a better answer. I don't know if we do or not. That's still subjective, I guess.
That was my thought going into Freddy versus Jason when they did the movie. Like, how are they gonna do this?
Right.
Like, how are they gonna get past? That's the problem. That is the big problem with all of this, and we've been discussing this for the past 20 years. How do you get past that?
That's it. Well, I mean, Jason doesn't sleep. There you go. End of story.
So that's it for our listener questions. So we have talked your ear off about Jason tonight.
We have things that went wrong, and we've talked about Jason. I have a list of more Friday 13th things. We didn't get time to get to it tonight, but we'll get to it maybe next week's show for Rad or whatever.
So, and things should go bad. I mean, it's Friday the 13th. It's an unlucky day.
That's true. I don't know what is happening. Yeah, it is. It's Tuesday the 10th, but still.
Maybe that's where the bad luck comes from.
Maybe
we're celebrating Friday the 13th early.
We're celebrating bad luck. Good for us, right?
There we go. So that's all I've got. If we want to go, I think we're a little bit over. So
yeah, we are. So if you want to go ahead and end it, where do they go to check us out, Ryan?
Guys, we need you to go to themidnightspookhouse.com, and there you can leave us feedback, or you can listen to the.
Oh my God! It is doing whatever it wants now at this point. That wasn't me. It just hit. Jesus, let's end this stream. Let's do it. Let's be over this show. My God, we sound like we're horribly unprofessional.
Yeah, I think something's telling us something here.
This isn't the show. So we apologize first off. Now go ahead and wrap us up, Ryan. I'm going to make it play
All right,
this
guys.
time on purpose. So
Yeah, so visit the midnightspookhouse.com and leave us some feedback. We really want to know what you think of the show and how we can make it better. Don't use this episode as an example, but
please don't. Yeah.
And tune in this Friday for our paranormal show. It's going to be a lot of fun stuff to talk about there. So, thank you again for joining us, and I hope everybody has a great night. Dale, do you want to say goodbye?
Yeah, we're really sorry once more, and thanks for listening, and we'll see you Friday. So good night, everyone.